You're ready for a comeback. And with Purdue Global, you can do more than take classes. You can take charge of your story, of your career, of your life. Earn a degree you can be proud of and get an education employers respect. It's time, your time, not just to go back to school, but to come back and move forward with Purdue Global, Purdue's online university for working adults. Start your comeback at purdueglobal.edu.
Beyond Zero is Toyota's vision of a carbon-neutral future and more. Toyota gives you the power to reduce carbon emissions and help move toward its vision with a wide selection of electrified vehicles. Whether you're into hybrid EVs for that traditional Toyota feel with better MPG, battery EVs for a smooth and silent ride, or plug-in hybrid EVs that switch between battery and fuel, Toyota has you covered. And for those who prefer hydrogen, Toyota's fuel cell EVs emit nothing but water vapor from the tailpipe. It's so cool. Giving you the choice on how to reduce carbon emissions and move closer to Toyota's Beyond Zero vision. Visit toyota.com/electrified-vehicles/beyond-zero-vision. Toyota. Let's go places.
Hi, from Wonder Media Network, I'm Jenny Kaplan, and this is Womanica. This month, we're pulling back the curtain to reveal women overlooked in their own lifetimes or in our historical accounts of the eras in which they lived. We're talking about the activists, thinkers, leaders, artists, and innovators history has forgotten. Today, we're talking about the Princess of Paleontology. This woman filled museums with her findings that provided new, groundbreaking evidence about the history of the Earth. But you wouldn't know it because male collectors often took credit for her work. Let's meet Mary Anning. Mary was born in 1799 in Lyme Regis, a small seaside town in the southwest of England. Lyme Regis is part of a 95-mile stretch of land that has layers upon layers of red sandstone, shale, and chalk cliffs that date back 185 million years. There, fossils from the Triassic, Jurassic, and Cretaceous ages lay on top of each other like an English trifle. Today, it's known as the Jurassic Coast. This meant Mary's hometown was ripe for fossil collecting. Many residents took it up as a hobby, including Mary's father, Richard. By day, he was a cabinet maker, but in his free time, he'd head to the shore with a geologist's hammer and explore. By the time Mary was 5 or 6 years old, she would accompany him. Richard taught her how to hunt for and clean fossils. Then they'd display their findings in his shop and sell them for extra income. That extra income proved very helpful for Mary's family, which was quite poor. Over the course of her life, Mary's mother gave birth to 9 or 10 children. Only Mary and her brother Joseph survived to adulthood. As a child, Mary received very little formal education, and instead taught herself to read. She especially liked to study geology and anatomy. In 1810, Mary's father passed away suddenly. To supplement their family's income and pay off family debts, Joseph began work as an upholsterer, while Mary began selling her fossil finds in earnest. Mary grew up during the Napoleonic Wars. European civilians were encouraged to stay close to home for safety reasons. So instead of traveling abroad, tourists would vacation in nearby seaside towns. Lyme Regis was filled with vacationers interested in the ancient souvenirs the coast had to offer. Most amateur fossil hunters at the time were men. Mary would walk along the blue-gray waves, wrapped up in a plaid coat and wool cape to protect against the harsh seaside winds. She kept the fossils she found in a wicker basket, and her hunting companion was a small spotted dog named Trey. Mary made her first significant finding when she was just 12 years old. One day, while scavenging the coast, her brother Joseph found a skull poking out of a cliff. It took Mary months of carefully chiseling the rock with her hammer and brushing away the dust to fully uncover the 17-foot-long skeleton. It belonged to a marine reptile that was at least 194 million years old. The fossil was so well preserved, remnants of the creature's last meal can be seen within its ribcage. Mary also found the first complete plesiosaurus, another marine reptile, and Britain's first complete pterodactylus, a flying reptile. All of these discoveries were shown in museums, but Mary didn't receive any credit. She sold her fossils, and it was the wealthy men who bought them for their personal collections and later donated them to the museum who were credited, not her. Still, Mary did start to receive recognition for her work later in life. In 1838, the British Association for the Advancement of Science gave her an annual payment to help fund her paleontological work. And in 1846, the Dorset County Museum made her their first honorary member. Mary's childhood friend, Henry de la Beche, was inspired by her findings. He painted the very first pictorial representation of prehistoric life based on fossil evidence. And he gave the money he got from selling prints to Mary, who was still struggling financially. In 1847, Mary passed away from breast cancer. She was 47 years old. Despite a lifetime of impressive discoveries, she died with little wealth to show for it. Her death was recorded by the Geological Society, but she was never inducted as a member. They didn't admit any women until the 1900s. Mary's work shook up the scientific community for generations to come. During her time, the scientific community still widely accepted the Christian Bible's interpretation of the Earth's creation. Her discoveries of fossilized marine reptiles changed this narrative and provided evidence for a different type of creation story, evolution. It seems like common knowledge now, but she also helped provide then groundbreaking proof that species could go extinct. Today, many of Mary's fossils can be found at the Natural History Museum of London, now displayed next to her own name. All month, we're talking about women behind the curtain. For more information, find us on Facebook and Instagram at Womanica Podcast. Special thanks to Liz Kaplan, my favorite sister and co-creator. Talk to you tomorrow.
No one likes to talk about money. Am I saving enough? Can I buy a house? Am I paying too much in taxes? Will I be able to retire? What if you could unlock insights about your finances in less than 5 minutes with a clear picture of where you stand today and where your money can work harder? Now you can. Visit Facet.com to take the free quiz and get your financial wellness score today. That's FACET.com. This ad is sponsored by Facet. Facet Wealth Incorporated is an SEC-registered investment advisor. This is not an offer to buy or sell securities, nor is it investment, legal, or tax advice.
A brand new historical true crime podcast.
When you lay suffering a sudden, brutal death,
Starring Allison Williams.
I hope you'll think of me.
Erased, the murder of Elma Sands.
She was a sweet, happy, virtuous girl.
Let go of me!
Until she met that man right there.
Written and created by me, Allison Flock.
Is it possible, sir?
We're standing by for your answer.
Erased, the murder of Elma Sands. On the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to your podcasts.
There's so much news happening around the world that we're somehow supposed to stay on top of. That's why we launched The Big Take. It's a daily podcast from Bloomberg and iHeartRadio that turns down the volume a bit to give you some space to think. I'm Wes Kosova. Each weekday, I dig into one important story and talk about why it matters. Listen to The Big Take on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen.